Spiritual awakening can feel really lonely. Your world changes, and suddenly it's like no one gets you anymore. But what if loneliness isn't even real? What if it's just a lie that you have been conditioned to believe? You see, during my first spiritual awakening, I felt so peaceful and connected to the world and everyone around me. It was like tapping into what many call unity consciousness. I felt daily connected not just to people, but also to animals and plants. I was connected to people on a deep soul to soul level, not just a mental or emotional one. And it was beautiful. But as I continued on my spiritual journey, things shifted. I started to feel lonely and isolated. It felt like I was the only one who truly understood this deep insight I was receiving. The people around me didn't seem to get it. At the time, I was working as a tutor, and the only people I interacted with were my students and their parents. They were more focused on academic success more than anything. So I couldn't really share my experiences with them. And whenever I tried to hang out with my friends or meet new people, I felt I couldn't fully express myself. I was afraid of being judged or misunderstood. I thought people would think what I share was just all woo woo. So most of the time was spent reading spiritual books because that's where I felt the most validated. That made me retreat deeper into my own little world, which only makes me feel more withdrawn from the outside world. But then something shifted again. I had a second spiritual awakening, and it hit me. If I truly felt this unity consciousness, this oneness with the world and everyone, why was I feeling so lonely? Why did it feel like no one understood me? How could there be two different perspectives? How could I be feeling connected and disconnected at the same time? Then I realized unity consciousness, that feeling of being one with everything, comes from a spiritual or 5D perspective. It's about seeing things from an energetic point of view. But when I was feeling lonely, I was seeing things from a physical point of view. I was alone, I was single, I was self employed, away from the masses. That came from the ego or 3D perspective. My ego was telling story of how separated I was from others, and that made me feel disconnected. I was so caught up in listening to my ego instead of my spirit, and that's why I was feeling lonely. At its core, loneliness is simply just a disconnection from your spiritual self. And once I understood that, things starts to make a lot more sense. And I started to realize all these lies my ego was telling me that caused the separation. The first big lie is that losing connection, losing old friends during spiritual awakening will leave us feeling lonely and isolated. Our ego tricks us into thinking no one understands us. But the truth is, there are plenty of people out there with a deep awareness and spiritual understanding. They are just not in our community. When I started letting go of old friends and not hang on to my past relationships, I found meeting new people who were into spirituality. They talk about things I never even knew about, like life path, numerology, astrology. It was eye opening. The thing is, our ego makes us feel like our life is falling apart because the people around us don't resonate with us anymore. But what's really happening is that the universe is hitting the reset button. It's clearing out space to bring in more authentic soulful connection. That feeling of loneliness is just your ego reacting because you're not getting the validation you're used to. Shedding all unaligned connection is just part of the awakening process. As you grow and your energy shift, some people, activities, and places just won't vibe with you anymore. That doesn't mean you're alone. It means you're making space for a relationship that truly aligns with who you are right now. At first, it can feel like a loss or even feel like the universe is punishing you. But what's really happening is that universe is reorganizing your space to match the newfound energy and vibration. It's clearing out what no longer serves you so you can make way for something greater. The second big lie that our ego tells us is that solitude and loneliness are the same, but they are not. Being alone doesn't make you feel lonely. It's disconnecting from your true self that creates loneliness. Before spiritual awakening, I used to feel lonely all the time. I felt I was different from my peers. I felt like an outsider in school because I was an old soul. I was introverted and I kept to myself, and I didn't share the same interests as others. Growing up, I also didn't feel like my parents understood me well enough. Even now, I still don't feel like my mom knows what I'm doing or thinking, but it doesn't bother me anymore. We are all conditioned to think that the more people we have around us, the more people we surround ourselves with, the less lonely we become. When I became an adult, I would meet people online or in person and try to connect with them. You know, people with the same personality, same interests, same gender, or same experiences. I thought they would understand me right, but I soon realized it didn't help me ease my loneliness at all. They understand a part of me, the part where we are similar, but they don't truly understand me fully. Even surrounded by others, I still felt lonely. I didn't feel like I belonged. I actually felt more peaceful and at ease by myself. That's when I realized being alone isn't the same as being lonely. You can be alone and feel perfectly content, or you can be surrounded by lots of people and still feel extremely lonely. It all depends on how you perceive your situation, whether you are perceiving from the ego or from the spirit. During a spiritual awakening, you might not have a lot of people around you, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Spiritual awakening often requires deep introspection. You usually need a lot of quiet time and space away from external distraction to truly connect with your inner being. Our minds make solitude seems like this empty, painful, miserable void. But in reality, solitude is just a meaningful space for us to reconnect with our soul and the source. It actually helps us to be more connected with the world and ourselves, not less. We are so used to looking for validation, belonging, and connection from outside sources like our friends, relationships, or achievements. We are conditioned to believe that if we don't get that external validation, it means we are unloved or insignificant. But this is a big lie that our ego tells us. It keeps us in this tribal mentality, but it creates a false sense of belonging. This, by the way, occurs in spiritual communities too. Tribal consciousness is not the same as unity consciousness. Tribal consciousness is about taking care of your own tribe, your own community or group. It's still very much a separation consciousness, us versus them mentality that is rooted in the 3D and fueled by the ego. Unity conscious, on the other hand, is about the oneness with the world and everyone else. There is no separation. There is no separation with people of different race, gender, country, community. And there's also no judgment for people who are in a different stage of spiritual journey from you. Spiritual awakening shifts our focus from external to internal validation and connection. It helps you to find a deep sense of connection within yourself and with the universe. You're no longer seeking from others that love and attention because you are the lover. You are love. That's your true self. That's your true nature. Your spiritual self is full of love. You're not lacking or unworthy in any way. And that's why you don't need external validation from others. That's what your ego needs to survive, but that's not what your spirits need. After spiritual awakening, when you stop chasing approval from others, other people also stop giving you the attention and let you live your own life. Not because you are invisible or unimportant, it's because you don't need their validation anymore. Our egos might mistake this for a lack of connection, But what's really happening is you're experiencing inner peace. There's no need to do anything to get people to like you anymore. If people don't get you, then they don't. You don't have to try so hard to get people to understand you or see something they can't see it right now. You are free right now. At our deepest level, we are all interconnected at a soul level, part of the same consciousness. We are never truly separate. Our ego can make us focus too much on the individual and tribal level and create this illusion of separation. It can make us forget this oneness we have with the world temporarily through the story it tells, making us feel like an alien on earth, like we don't belong here and detached from everyone else. But if you are aware of this and you're connected with yourself and with the unity consciousness, you will never feel lonely for long. Ever since my second spiritual awakening, being alone didn't bother me that much anymore. Even if I'm single for the rest of my life, or even if people don't understand what I'm talking about, I know I'm never truly alone because I know I have angels, spirit guide, and the universe supporting me every step along the way. I might not be able to see them with my 3D physical eyes. I might forget that they are there once in a while when I was caught up with the ego narrative or in the low vibration. But soon enough, I will be reminded of their existence with synchronicities, signs, and nature. I will be reminded that I'm not alone. It wasn't a mistake that I'm here. I'm not thrown onto this weird planet just to suffer and be isolated. All the things I have experienced in the past, the neglect, the alienation, the low self worth, they were all leading me towards this spiritual awakening, preparing me for this isolation, to help me learn how to embrace loneliness and enjoy solitude, to help me connect better with my higher self and spiritual realm so that I can do what I do today. And I'm grateful for every step of this journey. Embracing solitude doesn't mean living in isolation forever, but you also don't need to force yourself to fit into the 3D matrix. Forcing yourself to fit in where you no longer resonate can actually block your spiritual growth. Watch this next video to learn why.